Alright, hey guys, back again with another HexJuice reaction video. I've been waiting for this one. It's a long video, so this video equally will probably be quite long, 35 minutes, but it's a review of Zenless Zone Zero, which I'm eager to hear what she thinks now, having spent more time in the game. Just for reference, I am still playing the game myself. I haven't streamed or anything, but I'm not like done with the story. I'm still playing through it and taking it quite slow, to be honest with you. Right now I'm just jumping on to spend my battery mostly and progressing a little bit. I'm eager to see the relations with characters through like the meetups you can do and stuff like that. I've said it before and it still kind of stands. The things that really stand out, the things I do like about this game mostly, the combat at base level at the moment, just how it feels, I do enjoy it. The characters themselves, I like the designs, the personalities, and the music honestly has grown on me a lot. Like the vibe of the game is gelling well with me. So those are like the main things that are like pulling me in right now. I think the graphics are quite nice too. After spending more time with the game, and the general look at the game, I think is quite nice. But it's not my review, although I'll put my thoughts out there. It's a reaction video. But let's get right into Hex's review.
Hello, YouTube! It is finally time to give my honest, in-depth review of Zenless Zone Zero so far. My initial impression of this game was very, very poor. I think that is due to a lot of reasons that we will get into. However, I want to talk about how we can also learn to appreciate the game for what it is, and we're going to also get into like who this game is for, the pros and cons, audience, and all that stuff.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Subscribe. First thing I'd like to talk about, because I think it's sort of a positive, is the art. So we're going to start with character designs. I actually like the female main character. I think she's pretty cute.
Belle.
I hate the way she runs, and I hate that she runs so slowly. But I think the main character...
Belle runs like a damsel in distress, just shaking her forearms around. But I do think she's pretty cute. I definitely prefer her design over Wise. Wise is just okay, but I like Belle.
She's really cute. I don't really have any problems with her. I think for the most part, main characters in gacha games are pretty mid. They're fine. They're usually meant to be bland and a bit of a self-insert. And I think the female character looks cool. The main male character looks less cool. And I think that's also pretty normal. I don't have any like really strong feelings
sometimes
about
it is.
But I think she's fine for a main character. And I think she's better than some. And she's mid. She's giving mid. And it doesn't really matter because you don't even play her. So who cares? As far as character designs go, I think that a lot of the characters' designs have grown on me quite a bit. I do like the more modern approach to character design they've taken in this game. I love Ellen. Like, can we just be so for real that Ellen is one of the best character designs in gacha?
Yes, I agree. I love her. The first moment they showed her, like just the expressions and stuff and just everything about it, I think is just awesome. I think she's gorgeous and cute and just appealing on like every level, honestly. Like, this is how you do a character to me. But I know some people will be like, oh my god, she looks young, you know, all that shit. I know, I guess girls can just say that kind of stuff, but when guys say it at all in any capacity, it's like, oh landmine, you know. I think she's a beautiful character, I'm gonna say it, and yeah, I like Ellen Jo a lot. I want Ellen Jo.
She's so cool.
I don't have it yet.
She's like a mix of Ryuko from Kill la Kill and like Gura, and I am just so obsessed with her. Her voice acting is great. Her character design is fantastic. But on the other side, not all of the characters are absolute bangers like this. I think that there's a lot of like mid.
You're not disrespecting Von Lycon, are you? Don't do that. No, I like Von Lycon. I got a friend who hates furry type stuff. Actually uninstalled the game after getting Von Lycon. He was trying to get Ellen, he lost the 50-50 and literally got Von Lycon and was like, nah, I'm done. I think he's given another chance, so yeah, but anyway.
I think that this being a...
I think Rena is kind of mid, honestly. Like, people... I don't hear much talk about Rena at all. I think she's just... She was shown here. Hang on, let me... Yeah. Damn it.
Not all of the characters are absolute bangers like this. I think that there's a lot of like mid.
Oh, whatever. You guys know what Rena looks like anyway. I'm not that crazy about her, so I think she looks kind of basic. I think Anton looks okay as well, but not that interesting. But anyway,
I think that this being a
I like I like Grace too. Grace in the story is hilarious. Like, she comes off as genuinely psychotic to me. But she's like really cute in how it's presented as well. And I really like her facial expressions too, and obviously everything else going on is very nice. I like Grace.
Absolutely insane. This is an incredibly bland character design for a 5-star. She looks like a 4.
I like Grace. I'm sorry. I understand what she's saying. Like, I totally get what she's saying at the same time about like the outfit and stuff being kind of basic, but I like Grace. And her gameplay is actually, she's got 5-star gameplay in my opinion. I really like the way even if you want to like debate about the design, which I really like her design as well. Gameplay wise, her gameplay's great. It feels really, really nice to engage in.
To me. I think that there is, to be fair, a little bit of an issue between the 5 stars and the 4 stars not being super visually obvious. I would not necessarily assume that this was a 5-star compared to this being.
I will say this. I assumed Neko was, but I also assumed Nicole was a 5-star for a while. I thought that. And even Billy, I wasn't sure of. Billy, definitely, I was kind of surprised about Billy being a 4-star. I didn't predict that personally, but yeah.
An intro 4-star. I would not necessarily guess that one was better than the other. I also will say that if we take into account very specifically the premium 5-star, this looks like a 5-star. And usually standard characters, 1.0 standard characters are gonna be less
more ambiguous in that
and amazing than than any of the other.
I mean, I'll say even if you look at Kave in Genshin Impact, it's like a later 4-star came out. He could pass to me design-wise Kave as a 5-star. Like before when there was like leaks about the characters, he looked kind of the part to me. And even versus, if you want to put Kave next to Diluc, I know we're talking about 1.0 in this game, I get that. But I think over time, standard character's going to look, well, I guess that's, Diluc standard 5-star at the beginning versus a 4-star later on. And I think Kave kind of looks more 5-star material if you put them together, really, if we're looking at this from this logic. But I can't necessarily disagree. I'm thinking about I'm trying to brainstorm now while I'm talking about Genshin early days. Noelle even could look like a higher tier character in my opinion. Like I love how Noelle looks, but
5 stars that are standard are usually more boring. This is true in Wuthering Waves. This is true in Genshin, in literally every other gacha game. Honkai Star Rail.
It is kind of limited usually.
Like 5 stars look shittier than non-standard 5 stars, especially anything that comes out in 1.0 is just kind of more lame. I don't personally enjoy the ambiguity of the ages of many of these characters. I think if you're going to make a character that looks so obviously childlike, probably we shouldn't sexualize them and give them sexual posing. There are ways to make it more visual.
This is like, again, a minefield, especially for a guy talking about this, so I'm not really going to talk about it much. I like the character designs, just generally speaking. I think they're cute. Even these characters, and like Sukako, I think is really cute as well. I can't say too much here, obviously, without people jumping down my throat, so I'm not going to say that much. But some people might be concerned about this, some might not. I did learn, and I will say this, very controversial thing, and a lot of you probably didn't know about this. I don't know if this is 100% true, but I saw a lot of people on X saying that one of the lead character designers, if not the lead character designer, is involved or is an artist of certain types of art, of a certain body type, let's put it that way, and has done that for a while. So that might put a lot of people off. Understandably, I get it if this, if that really bothers you. And I understand why people might not know that though, but that's definitely something about this game that's going to have people like split and like, maybe not wanting to play it due to that being the case. But again, I don't know if that's 100% true. If you guys know more, let me know down below.
Obvious that a character is an adult via the.
By the way, Piper's really fun to play as well. Like I love the spin and the physical build up. It's just really satisfying. But neither here nor there about what we're talking about.
Anatomy of the character. This fails to do that. And so when you give them poses like this,
that's crazy.
It's not abundantly visually clear that this is not intended to be a child. It makes people uncomfortable. I think that's valid and fair. We should make it clear if they're an adult or if they're a child. Especially when there's sexualization coming into play.
The ambiguity is on purpose because they want to draw in everyone. Like, they want to cast their net as wide as possible. That's why ages are always ambiguous. They don't really define ages. Usually, if they define an age for a younger looking character, it's like Nahida in Genshin, where she's like 500 years old, and that's just how it is. Even if visually it's not really particularly the case, but they don't attach ages to characters like Klee or anything either. They do it on purpose. The ambiguity is going to get, the fact that it is ambiguous is going to get certain people less riled up about certain people liking them in certain ways, I guess. And I'm sure they think about this stuff. But again, me dwelling on this topic is probably not a great idea, especially being a guy. And, you know, not having super strong thoughts one way or the other. I'm not negative over these kind of designs in games or anything. I find like chibi characters, small characters cute generally. It doesn't really bother me. And yeah, it doesn't bother me in this game either. I think they're endearing characters, so...
Makes me uncomfortable. I personally...
I get that some people might not like it as much. Like, I know she's echoing now that she's not a fan of it.
I don't have a huge issue with furry designs. Like, I don't
have any issue with that. That's another thing. I'm not like a furry. It doesn't bother me. I guess, like, this just doesn't bother me at all. Ben Bigger, Von Lycon I actually really want. I think he's pretty badass, and I'm not a furry. I don't know, some people really get put off by stuff like that, and like Ben Bigger doesn't bother me. I find him quite funny, to be honest, and he feels really good to play. I think it's cool to have a bear in the game. I think that's pretty awesome. I want more non-human characters. I've said this before, but yeah.
Neat.
I do.
I understand.
I like the
people
variety.
have a personal, discomfort with that, and I'm not trying to discount that. But as far as furry designs go, I don't mind these ones, and I think it gives some variation to the characters. I think putting this dog in bondage gear is wild, but honestly, I sort of in a way appreciate the variety of doing so. They didn't have to do that.
I mean, yeah, he's like really wrapped up, isn't he? Though Von Lycon, like big time. He's ready to go. But I've got a friend who is a furry. Is into that kind of stuff as well, and he fucking loves this character, so I don't disrespect people based on what they like in that sense. Or I'm not saying she is disrespecting anybody. She has her own tastes, I get it, and what she wants to see more so than others. I'm just really open-minded about this stuff. I always have been. That's just who I am. I'm an open-minded person, even if something doesn't particularly appeal to me, as long as it's not really hurting anyone. But that's me. It's not everyone. People have their own moral standards and guidance for things and whatever,
talk
you
a
know.
little bit about
I'm mainly just, again, boiling it down to likes and dislikes.
A couple of things with like the world design. So I'm going to specify what I mean by this. We're going to talk about the level design, and by that I mean the design of the areas where you do combat, okay? So the world design, to me, I understand that this is supposed to be an industrial area, so obviously this is not going to be like the most like neuron activating area. So this is actually realistically a pretty bad example.
It's like a military base,
because it's kind of the area that you're in. But I think the world design for me is, we'll say it's not what I expect from Hoyoverse, because I will give Hoyoverse their credit that I think that they make incredibly nice worlds. I think that they're able to make really, really cool environments and really immersive environments. And some parts of it are really good, but I think overall it could use some work. I think that this area is fine for your little like video store / house area. I think the room is pretty cute. It looks like...
I honestly like the apartments and 6th Street itself. I think is nice. I actually like the streets. I like the vibes around the streets. It's really relaxed. The HIA Club too, where you go to farm your materials, I can't find that music anywhere. If anyone knows that music, because I absolutely love that track. It's really chill. I love it. Like I was just, it was stuck in my head for days. Like it's just, I know it's very addictive to me, but I cannot find it on YouTube. At least I couldn't over the last few days. If anyone knows that track, the HIA Club music in the game, please link it below or tell me the name of it or something. Thank you. Thank you in advance to anyone that might know.
Like a real room, you know? Not mine, because mine's messy as fuck because I got ADHD, but it's cool. I think there are really cool things about the overall area where you live. But my problem with it is it just seems like it's sort of padded. Like the area itself is larger than it needs to be, and it feels a little bit tedious and unpleasant. I think the individual shops are pretty cool. I think the little NPCs in each...
I haven't even gotten access to this yet. Funny enough. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I'm Internet rank 27, I think, right now. So I think I'm close to this because I was looking into the disk drives and I was like, they haven't even talked about any of this yet, but I think I just need to carry on the story. It's one of the last things I think that I have to unlock because they haven't been into this at all. So
Each of the shops are pretty interesting. I
she looks
like
badass,
the
by the
robot
way.
lady. I like the dog. I
Yeah,
think
she's
the
cool.
individual, like the animations in the little ramen shop is really neat. I think it's cool. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that overall, like this is kind of all of the area that is relevant is this like the main 6th Street with the shops where you can go. You can go all the way back here, right? And this is the last thing that really matters in this entire area. But there is a lot more area that's just kind of there. And I don't really feel like I fully understand what the point of padding out.
It's for commissions and things like that. Like, I've already seen that for some things. Like, oh, go down here, you know, talk to these bang boos to kick a soccer ball around or whatever. It's just, it's for stuff like that. That's all it's for, to really extend the activities, the side activities more so. I'm kind of okay with it, honestly. Like, she's saying, like, this is kind of the main hub, this street here and up there for the shops and what you actually need to be doing, like, day to day and kind of moment to moment. I don't really mind extra places, but
Out this area. I wish that if they had made these areas larger, I wish they had made it more immersive to be in them, because it just feels like you're either in the main bustling area or you're like in a very frightening dead back alley. Ultimately, for me, culminates in this whole like where you live portion to feel like it's a bit of it's like a set. I wish that they had done more with the rest of these areas rather than just sort of having them. And this is more of a personal problem. I think it looks all right, but these areas back here look pretty bland and just seems unnecessary to me. And it makes me wonder maybe if they didn't add in all of this sort of empty sort of area and empty space that was just sort of there, if maybe they could have made the game size a little bit smaller. I just don't like a lot of these areas that just seem
to be honest, I think they just messed up completely on the game size. I don't know why this game is, after install, about 57 gigs. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. There's a lot of repeated assets. You know, the TV system is the TV system. There's just a lot of text, talking, dialogue and stuff, but that surely doesn't take up that much space. Maybe they just didn't compress it properly. A lot of developers seem to do this nowadays, but this game especially, I don't really understand, but there you go.
Worthless. I hope that they do more with it. I don't particularly like it. It just seems kind of useless to me. Overall, though, I do like the main 6th Street. I wish that the NPCs mattered more, because there are cool little NPCs that walk around here that are just kind of hanging out, and I think they look pretty nice. They actually have really nice NPC designs in this game, but I wish it was just like they mattered more. I wish you could have like a relationship with them, you know, if they were going to be just around all the time, because the point is to make the area feel more real to you and more like where you live. I wish that they were more relevant. I think that the secondary world, when you go to Lumina Square, I have not been in there too much. I've not done a ton in Lumina Square.
I don't think I've been to that place actually at all. Maybe I'm not quite that far yet.
The story over there, it does not feel well optimized when you go to that second area.
Haven't been? No, I haven't. I actually haven't, so I'm okay with some mild spoilers, I guess, about an area if she goes
my
there.
computer started lagging, and I've had almost no issues with lag or anything in this game previous to that, so I did not love that. But overall, the world design is pretty good.
Anyway.
It obviously does have a particular vibe that it's going for, and I think it does achieve that. I just wish that some of these areas were filled in a little bit better and had a little bit more meaning than they currently feel like they do. But I don't think that it's like an absolute like shit waste, and I hate it. It's sort of an in the middle opinion about a mid sort of thing. The level
to be honest, personally I found 6th Street quite small. Like, even with the like back alleys and places she's talking about, you don't really utilize for anything like buying materials and stuff. I think that just loops back to me wanting more avenues to actually explore environments, which is you can't really do it in combat. TV system is their idea of exploration, and I've already told you how I feel about that. And otherwise, you get the areas like I've been to the construction site with Bellabog, which was cool to just walk around, talk to characters and stuff. I wish there was more of that, but
design to me, I think needs a lot more variety.
So I guess that's what she's maybe saying, more purposeful in the environments they actually have. I understand that. I can agree with that as well, beyond just the commissions and side activities, but also I just want more to explore. I just want more to go around and look at. I mean, I'll get more through the story, of course, with that luminous square I've not seen. So I'm hoping that's nice.
The level designs seem to be relatively bare bones. We go to the same places over and over again. I wish they had done more with it, and I wish they had been more immersive. It's always on a construction site. They always look the same. They're not like super detailed or anything. And I guess part of what I'm getting at, if the file size is so huge, why is there just not very much variety? There's also not a ton of variety in enemy design. There's just not that many enemies. They don't do anything all that different. They either hit you or they shoot you. There's this one that spins around and hits you. Like they don't seem that exciting. The level designs are not enough to me when it comes from Hoyoverse. It should be more. We should expect more. We should demand more, in fact. Not that.
I mean, the TV system is your substitute for what she's talking about. The TV system is your substitute for exploration, for area exploration. And this is why I just think it's awful. Again, I think it's bad content. I don't think that'll ever change. What can I say?
That it matters because they're probably going to ignore us anyways. I'm
they
mostly
will.
ignoring the
Sorry
story, so I'm not going to have any real feedback on the story thus far. But I do think the cutscenes look great. I think the animations of the characters when they talk look great. I think they made them very fun and expressive. They sort of give the energy of like TikTok cosplayers when they do their little, Junko posing stuff. And I personally enjoy that. The way that they stretch the characters to make them really exaggerated is really fun and like really exaggerated.
Pretty unique. It's cool. I like it
a lot. I think the music is absolutely fantastic and really adds to the vibe.
I said before release that was one of my skepticisms was with the music, and it's grown on me big time. I really enjoy it. I found myself just listening to the tracks in the background, just like the roaming tracks. Like I said, the HIA Club music, please somebody find it. I love it. I want to listen to it when I'm just doing stuff. Even at work, it'd be a great background track. I love it. It's great.
I wish you could
Music's
choose
really
your
good.
main area music personally. That would be nice. I like that they do that in Hawkeye Star Rail with the train. I think it would be a nice thing because you do collect music in this game, I believe.
That's pretty cool.
Does it change the music for the whole area or just your bedroom?
This I should double check actually, because maybe the HIA thing is on there. But again, someone clue me in. I have checked this before, and I only had a handful of tracks. But yeah.
Choose the room music? Okay, so yeah, you can't choose the music. I think it would be nice if we could choose the music that we listen to in the main area, because eventually the music is going to get tiresome. Because if you're listening to the same sort of lo-fi, chill, guitar plucking, it's gonna get tiresome if you play the game daily. And I wish you could fix it. I wish you could pick it.
It's not gonna
nice to do. But overall,
again, we're talking about like I guess in Genshin we had Mondstadt and Liyue for a while, but we had those for like a year before Inazuma, and it was essentially the same music, for all that period. So I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know how they're gonna do regions in the future or how that's gonna work. We'll have to just see.
Oh, the music is really great, especially when
new
you're
hubs,
in combat.
things like that.
Music
maybe
is just phenomenal. I really, really enjoy it. It's really
pretty
hype.
good.
It gets me excited to play the game. The vibes of the game are very, very good. The art of the game is very, very good. One of the things that is most exemplary about it is the way that they have polished this game and put it together to create a cohesive product. I love that they've got their own little vibes and personalities. I love the way that they're animated. I love the way that they're made. They're rendered very, very nicely with a lot of detail. They've got so much personality for them.
I've said this before, but I'm not a huge fan of the Bang Boos. They're okay, but people think they're really cute and stuff. They're okay. They're kind of cute. They are, but like Melusines from Fontaine are like the cutest Hoyo creature in my opinion. Like an area creature, or like a kind of area mascot creature. Like you have the Aranara and Sumerio as well. I think Melusines are like peak. Like I think they're just I'm like Neuvillette in that regard. Let's just put it that way. I think they're beautiful. They're cute. And Bang Boos are just like eggs, with features, bunny ears or something, and some legs and some little stubby arms. They're kind of cute, obviously, but I'm not crazy about them. I don't know what else to say there. That's just my opinion. Every single
one of them. They're so freaking cute. This one's my favorite. I wish he was a 5-star.
The
my
devil.
little gimp suit Bong Boo is definitely the best. I love how much detail they put into his little shiny
I am using I should mention just quick. I got an S tier, a chosen S tier. I got one early on the Bang Boo banner, which is pretty cool. I got the Amalasa, I think it's called, the physical one, because I'm using Nekomata with Piper and Billy, as I mentioned before, and I want the physical, a really good physical Bang Boo to support them, and that one's pretty good. So
leather latex outfit. It's so cute, and I love
They are
that
creative,
this one matches
though.
the character that I'm playing with it, which
Yes,
is the shark
Ellen
girl.
Jo.
I would die for each of these bong boos, and I don't care. I need a billion plushies, and I need these to be merchandised so that I can waste all of my money on that. The voice acting, I'm going to start with what I like, and I'm going to give a small gripe that I have. That is a personal complaint, I think, just about voice acting in general. I think the voice acting sounds really good. I think it's really good. I think it's very, very, very good. I mean, especially after Wuthering Waves 1.0. This feels great for EN.
Yeah, I so far I don't really have any problems with the voice acting. It's not even been a thought to me, even with the localization. I think they've done good with it, you know. I'm not really seeing any issues with the delivery or anything, so I'll give it that as a pro for sure.
To put this into JP so I don't have to hear the EN voices, which is a common thing for me in gacha games.
I don't
really
often do that, but
I'm not
I don't
watching
do that.
The story, so anything regarding the voice acting in the story, I don't know about that. I'm not going to comment on that. However,
I'm one of these rare breeds, I think, that doesn't skip the story, because I notice a lot of people do it. I think the story is so important to get you invested into what you're doing. I know not everyone cares. People just want to play the game and have the combat and enjoy the combat and the loop of what the game is and the designs. For me, it's important, though, to get me invested in the characters and stuff. Like, I thought the way they did the story and how they involved Neko Mata in the story was great, and how she becomes part of the Cunning Hairs, I thought was awesome. Actually, I did really enjoy that. And the fact that they have this nice time together, and then you get a picture to put on your wall in your room, at the video store in your room, that was awesome. But in any case, the delivery is all good, voice acting, all that stuff. I've not really had any problems in the story or otherwise, personally. I like it.
I think a personal gripe that I've started to develop.
By the way, sorry. Yeah, I need to stop talking so much. This video's going to be ages long.
Anime sort of voice acting in general. I don't really like hearing adults put on a child's voice, and it bothers me a lot, I guess, in this game, because there are so many children. I get very tired of hearing, you know, adults trying to sound like not adults. I just don't love it. It's a personal gripe for me. No one has to agree with me on this, but because there are so many children in this game, and
that's the problem. Just what I saw in the chat, Mistro of DBD said that. I mean, and that's just how it is. You can't hire children for the roles. Although some media does, you know, that's not obviously that's not in here to think child actors. So I guess it could happen. I don't see why not, actually. Why can't that actually happen? The more I think about it, I'm like, wait, no, there's like millions of like child actors out there in films and stuff. Why can't it be the case in like a game like this? Maybe it's just harder for them. It's easier to get a professional. I think that's all it really comes down to. Somebody who's actually a voice actor rather than a kid who's got less experience and might take 100 takes. That's probably just what it is.
Trying to sound like children in the ENVAs. I found it a bit grating.
Test my hammer.
I think Kaleda's a really bad example of that. It's a new gripe that I've had. I think it's a bit of a pet peeve.
Kaleda, you know, this is going to send some people into a spiral probably, but Kaleda reminds me of Xiao. Am I the only one who thinks that? Like, in terms of even the voice, the raspy delivery, and I didn't really think much about that before, but she gives me Xiao vibes, like big time. Like, big time. It's kind of unexpected.
Really bad example of that. It's a new gripe that I've had. I think it's a bit of a pet peeve. I do want to talk about the gacha monetization of this game. The rewards are lackluster. Really, the long and short of it is, after Kuro Games being so generous, it feels especially bad for this game to be so stingy. I honestly feel like,
do we expect anything else
than HSR thus far in terms of the amount of time you get to get the pulls? They did a milestone reward of 30 polychrome, which is the primo gems or stellar jade equivalent in this game. Quite literally less than 1/5 of one pull that we're supposed to.
It's typical Hoyo, feeding you bird seed to keep you attached, you know. Oh, here you go, just throwing it out, throwing the bird seed out. That's all this is. I will say one thing I didn't realize. We had the login event, which ended, right, with the last day was the 3 limited pulls, you know, the limited pulls. Another one's come along, another login event, a second one. I noticed it early when I logged in. I was like, wait, what the fuck? And yeah, there's a new login event. That's unexpected. I don't know if they said anything about that. I'm pretty sure that wasn't said. We're getting 2 login events. I don't know how the game's doing in terms of player base or if it's bleeding players. I'm starting to feel like it is kind of bleeding players, but I could be entirely wrong. But a second login event is surprising. It's nice, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah.
Feel rewarded by. It's kind of insulting. It's the most stingy shit I've ever heard in my life. I feel significantly less like, oh,
I've viewed worse just go play Genshin. I mean, well, this is Genshin tier stuff, yeah.
thank you for the reward. And I feel more like, okay, just spit in my face. Just tell me that you hate me and spit on me and throw dirt at me instead than these, like, the 30 polychromes. I'd rather you just gave me nothing so I don't have to feel like it's a slap in the face. The generosity is not generosity-ing. I think the amount of time
I didn't look, by the way. She's 30. Yeah, I'm 27, so I'm not that far, but I need to crack on with the story soon.
You have to put into getting the rewards in this game feels like crap. It's giving very Hoyoverse. I think that we should still continue to complain about it because there are other companies doing better regarding generosity. I think
agree.
The starting rewards for this game were crap. It was not enough. I don't like that they gave us 180 free pulls, i.e. if you 100% all of the content, you will get 180 pulls that are primarily standard banner and Bongbu pulls, which you can't even pay money for. The cost to benefit
I thought they separated out the
Bongbu
pulls.
And this game feels incredibly unfriendly to free-to-play players because I think a lot of
my bad. I think I've said this before. I'm not spending on the game. I'm standing true to that. I'm entirely free to play on the game. The only thing I'm spending is my time, but if I'm getting enjoyment out of it, great, you know. But the reasons are, one of the primary reasons is because it's a Hoyo game. They treat their players like shit. It's been seen with Genshin, maybe not so much with Star Rail, but Genshin is a precedent, which I've got experience with. They treat their players like shit. They're even, to an extent, doing it now with the stuff she was just showing, like, oh, use 30 polychrome. Oh, wow, amazing, thanks. You know, stuff like that. The generosity right now is only because the game's just come out. Wuwa continues to be generous. There's rumors that Shangli Yao is going to be a free 5-star in 1.2. Which we'll see if that's true, but I've seen it a lot, and with how they've been, it wouldn't entirely surprise me. The standard weapon banner is fully selectable. I just got my Emerald of Genesis, I believe it's called, the sword, I think yesterday, with the 10 pulls they gave out, by the way, with the other events, the 10 regular standard pulls. So they helped me secure that. And it's fully selectable too, compared to anything you have in like this game or Genshin, you know?
Enjoyment.
And no 50-50 on the weapon, the limited weapon banner. You go to 80, you've got it. So it's just like, how could you compare it? It's just a joke. And they've got competition in Wuwa, and they don't care. They're in their own bubble all the time, Hoyo. It pisses me off. But I'm not paying them. They don't deserve it. And of course, the TV system I mentioned, and yeah, that's the two big things.
And not the enjoyment is in playing characters that interest you and that are fun to play, and not being able to get those characters in any reasonable time because the game is so stingy feels like shit. Once I actually got to play characters that I wanted to play and a team that I wanted to play, my satisfaction in the game was immensely higher. I think that this game would benefit a lot of people in their enjoyment of it if you got a standard selector or I mean,
I told you guys earlier, my friend quit the game. He's giving it one more chance, according to him. I think he is just coming back to play a little bit more. But he was like so close just being like, nah, I'm done, because he got Von Lycon. But if he had a standard selector, he could have got a character he really wanted on standard. And yeah, by the way, I've not hit my the guarantee on the limited banner yet. I'm close. So I'm on a 50-50. If I don't get Ellen Joe, personally, I would like Von Lycon. I think he's fun to play, and he's pretty cool, like, honestly. I've already got Rina and Nekomata, so I'm not that fussed on getting, like, the cinemas for those. Constellation cinemas, let's call them. You know, I don't really want Rina that much to begin with, so if I got Grace, I'd be cool with that as well. I like Grace. Ideally, I want Ellen Joe, but we'll see what happens.
One of the banners in which you can pick the character that you get from the banner. Either way, I would be perfectly fine because a lot of the enjoyment factor of this game is being able to play the characters that you like and the style that they have. And when you can't get them because you cannot get wishes in any reasonable amount of time, it feels like ass. I understand that there's like the standard selector on the 300 pulls, but 300 pulls on a standard selector, nobody wants to spend money on that. And it takes a long time with the
It's like a
prequels that you
while.
get. It's going to take like 6 months. At least it did for HSR.
It's like a
But yeah,
while.
that's kind of your enjoyment of this game is very dependent on you being able to play with the characters that you like, because a lot of the enjoyment is in the play style of the characters. And when it's not free to play friendly, in my opinion, and the game is incredibly stingy, in my opinion, it makes it feel significantly worse.
Keep hitting my damn boom arm. I was going to say, though, this kind of rings true to me in a way. I'm lucky I got Nekomata, especially early, because she has been like my main driver. Like, in the team I'm using right now, fully physical team, but if I wasn't using her as like the main lead DPS, it might be hard to like fill that slot. I don't know who, maybe Ambi, I guess, or someone. Ambi's alright. But yeah, no, what my friend said is entirely true about him being on the cusp of quitting. He doesn't really have a character he really likes the playstyle of, so he was like, I don't know, you know, I get
Very
it.
classic Hoyoverse sort of style. Still feels like crap. I hope that they do start giving more rewards, but thus far, this game does not feel very free-to-play friendly insofar as you being able to play characters that you want. Can you finish the content with the 4 stars? Absolutely. So in that regard, sure, it's free-to-play friendly because it doesn't really matter who you play, but it's a lot more fun if you could. That's my opinion.
People argued this with me a while back, even before I made my video that like everyone was seeing that quitting Genshin video. I was on some forums, I was on like X just talking with people, and I had a bunch of people, well, this one person who was getting a lot of likes on his replies saying, oh, getting characters doesn't matter that much though, you know, you like the game for liking the game. I'm like, my guy, the company itself tells you that they consider characters content, and they are content. It's a gacha game. Like, I just didn't get that. A lot of people were liking his replies to me, and it was like a ratio thing. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, a bunch of Hoyo dick riders, I'm sure, but at the same time, it's like, this is a gacha game. A lot of the new gameplay, in fact, all of the new gameplay in development comes from new characters, new teams, new synergies, testing them out, playing around with them. That's kind of what Genshin, that was a major thing with Genshin, a major hook, was new characters. If you're content with having just an old cast of characters or what you've got or what you will get and then just stop, that's cool. But I understand the appeal of making new characters in a gacha game, 100%.
So far on the monetization, it's got approximately the exact same monetization as HSR. I think they should have been less stingy about the rewards, and I think it would be nice if we could get a guaranteed weapon banner. I'm just going to be for real. I want to talk about the combat. We have to talk about the combat. This is going to be where we have to possibly do a bit of arguing, okay? We're going to go ahead. I'm going to finish up my Hollow Zero runs for the week while we talk about this, because we can also start to look at a little bit more about it. We can see it on the screen while we're talking about it.
I've only done a little bit of the Shiyu defense thing. I haven't delved into this too much, so but I'll just listen to her anyway, and we'll see what she has to say.
I think that the combat in this game does a very good job of feeling fluid. Very low amount of jankiness in this game. There's a high amount of fluidity. I understand why they were hammering home the whole satisfaction line in the dev.
It feels very
live.
direct.
The combat
and
is
fast.
in fact satisfying for sure. I don't actually think it's the design of the combat of the characters. I think the primary issue is the enemies. Part of the issue to me is the way that the game puts you through progression. The game gives you no incentive and no desire to actually learn about any of the deeper systems of the game. Are there deeper systems? Yes. But when the enemies walk around like they've had a lobotomy, don't move, don't really...
Once again, yeah, I just want to interject again, sorry, but I mentioned this in another video, but Tectone was having a panel with people that were arguing about this quite a bit, about like all the complexity, where it's necessary. Complexity might be there as an underlying thing for a lot of these characters, once again. I've noticed some things with Nekomata I wasn't before, but it's kind of like she's getting at now. You don't need it, like, for any real content. And the thing is, it's not even that you don't need it, it's that a lot of these mechanics aren't presented as core mechanics that you would use moment to moment within the gameplay loop of the game. Like, hidden things is fine, hidden complexities, but when they're hidden to the point where no one's really going to discover them or make any use of them or even know they ever existed to begin with, I think that's a con. You know, if you want to make a fighting game with those complexities, go make a fighting game. This isn't a fighting game. I know they had the collaboration, and one of the, I think the director or the one of the designers is, I think it might be the director, who said he was inspired in part by like fighting games, but I don't know if that gels well with an audience that's largely casual and is playing the game for different reasons. Like, Wuthering Waves has complexity in its combat systems, but it's presented to you as core gameplay mechanics and features. Like, you use a whole character's kit and it feels widespread. You've got all these things to do with a character and these things to learn. Like, Jinxie's not like directly out of the box, or you know exactly what she's doing and how to build her stacks and stuff like that. Wuthering Waves did a much better job presenting more complex systems versus this game, which is kind of like hiding them from you. And even then, is it more complex than like Wuthering Waves, even at that level or any level? I don't really know for sure, but that's my kind of stance on it anyway, because that's been a big debate about complexity and how it should be presented. I don't see the need in hiding mechanics like that. Like, I told you guys before, I've beaten every... Because a game that has, quote, hidden things is like Dark Souls and stuff, and I've beaten every one. I've delved into a lot of those games. Like, I platinumed Dark Souls 1 way back in the day on PS3, you know, and I've put so much time into that particular game too. So I know all about hidden things and spending time to find things, but I don't... Even that game doesn't particularly have, like, hidden... Not combat mechanics or anything like that. More so, like, items and strategies. Not even strategies, maybe, like, items like certain spells... How to best build characters. Back then, that was all like stuff we were discovering as we played, and like in a community fashion. Maybe it's not totally comparable. I'm just putting out there to let you guys know that I'm not close-minded to the idea of a challenge or learning things in a new game, like new systems and things like that. But I don't think this game... I'm going out on a limb to say I don't think this game is like the equivalent of how Dark Souls was back in the day. You know, the game that introduced an entire subgenre because of like the systems it had in place and how ingenious it was, right? I don't think we're looking at the same kind of case. If we're comparing this game in its same genre and like subsection of games, Wuthering Waves is a much better example to me once again of providing these complex systems, presenting them in a way to where, okay, here's what you do, here's what you're going to be using, here's a character's kit, go for it. I just don't know if it's the same here, but...
Do any damage and are essentially health
so far it's
that
not.
You have to tick down to 0. I don't think anybody really cares. The game does a very poor job of helping you learn any of the systems within the game. The game does a very poor job of teaching you any of those systems. It doesn't actually incentivize you to learn them either, because
the biggest thing I think is incentive. Because, I don't mind hidden things that aren't directly explained to you. I'm not the kind of guy... Like, Elden Ring I beat, and I did appreciate... I've got a video on my channel, I did enlist it if any of you guys want to see it. And that was one of my big pros about it. It's always been a pro for me about, like, From Software games, is they don't really handhold. It's not so much about that, it's the fact that you don't need to use any of this. Like, you just don't. Maybe for really, really hard content. I haven't gotten in this place too deep or anything. So...
Ultimately, there is a certain
maybe
amount of button mash
possibly.
Does it get harder later on? Yeah, but who cares? I don't enjoy the way that Hoyo has structured them teaching you.
Sorry, once again, this is a big discussion. Even if it does get harder later on to where you're kind of incentivized to maybe use some underlying tactics or gameplay elements, you don't use them throughout the entire game, you know? It'd be like, you know, not using outro skills in Wuthering Waves properly until the end of Tower of Adversity. And it's like, oh, well, now this mechanic makes sense. It's like, no, the mechanic was always there and it always made sense. You know, it's part of the core gameplay. It's not a hidden combo or something like that. You know, I think it's just kind of incomparable.
I think they could have absolutely done a better job of introducing and tutorialing. Because realistically speaking, the bosses are ass. All of the trash mobs are hot ass. The bosses are all right, but they don't necessarily do that much damage. And so it doesn't feel like it really matters if you have to deal with any of their, like, mechanics. Like, look at this boss. This is a boss in a late game mode.
This guy,
not even
yeah.
like not even level 1 of a late game mode. That is literally standing still, looking at me for so long, and I parry it once, and it's just. This is just like it's stun locked while I'm doing this character switching shit. But this is very good illustration of my issue.
So here's the thing: they want to make you feel strong and powerful. That's a gacha thing. That's a Hoyo thing in their games, especially like even Genshin. It's like a power fantasy. Honestly, you're playing as gods and stuff, and that's kind of what they want to present as a power fantasy and you to feel really powerful. Most of the time, that's kind of, I think, what they're going for. And I will say this, it's one thing I don't like so much about Elden Ring now, and From Software's style of... I'm comparing these games, we're talking about difficulty and design philosophy, and how engaging a game should be, and all these things. I think it's really important to talk about other games in like that kind of class too. I think From Software in many ways have kind of lost their way. I'm being 100% honest. I said this again in my Elden Ring video. I encourage you guys to check it out because I feel I made some really valid, strong points that still stand today, even for like the DLC. The thing is, when you engage like a boss in Elden Ring, it's very hard to get off an actual combo without leaving yourself open to like being two-shotted or something. So part of me appreciates the fact that you can actually utilize combos properly in, you know, Zenless, for example, without just being completely pummeled for even taking the chance to do it. Maybe that's a casual way of speaking, I guess, because I know there's people in Elden Ring that can do some good shit. Maybe, but in my experience and en masse, and if you're not like a really super hardcore professional, you know, aficionado of like Elden Ring, you're not going to have as many opportunities to do cool things. I think they've limited that a lot in like later Souls type games. Sekiro might be an exception. I think Sekiro is heavily skill based, honestly. Like I've seen some people do crazy shit in Sekiro. That's really awesome. Sekiro, for me, is one of their best games, honestly. I think it's one of their best games in recent memory. I really enjoyed Sekiro, and it kicked the shit out of me, too. So, but anyway, let's get back to what she's saying. I understand what she's saying, like enemies being very dormant and, you know, standing like statues, being spongy. I get it, but let's carry on.
With a lot of the enemies in this game, like he does move occasionally. This is bare minimum me actually trying to play the game correctly, and me honestly not even knowing that much about the game. But for the most part, he's been stun locked. Oh, I missed a parry there. Oh man, the gameplay. He's still standing still. I'm still gonna get off all this free damage. Look at me go! Faker, what was that? Look at the moves! It's not.
I get it. The thing is, we've also got to remember, in all fairness, this is a mobile game. And this, I haven't played it on mobile, but I can imagine this kind of stuff has got to be a bit tougher to do, perhaps. Like, you know, I don't know. I only played Genshin on mobile sparingly, and even then, you get a lot of iframe benefits from doing like ultimates at the right time versus like just dodging. I didn't play like Abyss much on my phone. I don't think I even did, and I wouldn't want to be honest with you. So we gotta like think about that as being a fact. And then like it's so much easier on PC with a controller, in my opinion. It's just, it feels like so natural with my experience as a gamer as well over the years. It's gotta be hard. I do think about this, but it's gotta be hard with these types of games to really balance it, to get newcomers inclined and caring and inducted to where they can feel good about the gameplay and combat as well and feel successful. But you've also got people like us who play games like all our lives, who play difficult games and have a lot of experience with hard games. Then they gotta satisfy us too. I get it, but again, I think Wuthering Waves does a great job at that. I think Wuthering Waves does a better job like satisfying hardcore people or people that are interested in deeper systems and mechanics versus this. So
because there is a tutorial, but they don't force you or incentivize you in any way to learn them. Some people are nerds who like to learn the mechanics and get in deep to all those little tiny details and dip their hands and like really get into the mechanics that are not even necessarily listed. A lot of people don't play games like that, especially not casual games like this is. Most especially gacha players, they're kind of inherently casual, and so most people are not gonna like try to find the hidden tech. What it feels like right now is that it's an absolute brain dead cakewalk, and then suddenly it actually becomes something where you might actually have to learn mechanics to more effectively do damage,
in
and
one
you've
part
had
of the
no
game,
reason
yeah.
to ever learn them or learn how to build a team or literally anything at all, and it doesn't feel like a good even progression curve. I will be on.
The thing is, I feel like you could say this about Genshin, but at the same time, I think Genshin's systems are more like the way you build teams matters more. Like even for like easier content. I remember when I got to Child, like when we were all early game and you got to the Child boss and had like three phases. It was actually kind of rough, like early on. Like I don't remember. I don't think I got wiped or anything, but I do remember it being a bit sketchy. Like, oh my god, he's got a third phase too. You know, I'm talking about the first time getting through the story and stuff. It actually felt like a really adequate challenge, honestly, for my team at the time. I don't know if there's anything like that in the story that's equivalent in this game, but yeah.
I still don't even know how all of the mechanics work in this game, and I finished as much of the end game as I have. I wish that the challenge toggle did actually more in terms of changing the challenge of the game, because right now it kind of just do feel a bit like bigger health bar. Pairing feels very good. It feels very satisfying. There's a nice reward to it. It activates neurons, and I think that's a lot of what this game is activating neurons.
I love, again, dodge counts with Nekomata. Is up my alley completely. Like, dodging just feels more natural even than like parrying. The parrying I'm getting more used to in this game, and I do enjoy that. Like the parry switching to the next character. I think that's sick, honestly. I do like that. Dodge counter with Neko, though, just chaining them together and zipping back and forth on the enemy is really satisfying.
This is supposed to be a satisfying brain rot neuron activate game. I think it does that well. If you're looking for extreme mega hard difficulty, get out of gacha games. Don't play them.
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
it is true.
Elden Ring level difficulty from a game like this, don't play gacha games.
You're in the wrong place. You are.
Complete waste. If you want fun brain rot gameplay, then play other games. Even Wuthering Waves does not provide an insane amount of difficulty to the player, except for holograms. These are mobile games.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it comes down to. Like, I'm talking about Wuthering Waves in a positive light for complex systems, but you still don't need... You can play it at a more of a brain-dead level for a lot of the content. You don't need to go crazy or obsess over it. It's just at the end of the day, they are gacha games. So they want to get people in to the ecosystem, get people attached to characters and certain aspects of the game, like the gameplay itself, but not to the point where you have to sweat it out. I don't think we're going to just be seeing that unless someone comes out and says, look, we're making a niche gacha game that is directly trying to get in hardcore players. We want the hardcore. But, you know, it hasn't really happened yet. I mean, Wuthering Waves the closest because they understand. They've already said they understand the hardcore players in the games and they want to make content for them. I will say, though, beyond Tower Adversity and holograms, Elusive Realm doesn't mess around. Like, it does. I'll be honest. I did it the other day on stream. Most of it was easy. The last boss, the Scar, oh my god. Like, he was rough. I didn't get through it all. I was going to highest difficulty, all the modifiers in negatives. So all the cons, I guess you could say. And I got far into it. I got all the way through. Scar boss, yikes. I kicked my shit in at the highest level, 90, but that was still really fun the other day.
Overall, the combat could be better, and the game does a poor job of introducing you to said combat, and that's annoying. Early game enjoyment is poor, and you can see on the screen part of why. It's these goddamn fucking TVs. I will say in this
I'm gonna let her go
the
off here because I've
TVs
talked
are
about this a
at
million
their most
times.
Enjoyable. Whatever this is called, this is sort of the simulated universe of the game. I actually don't mind the TVs here.
I will interject here because I didn't talk about the simulated universe stuff. I agree with this. It's not as bad in, like, again, I've done Shiyu Defense. And it was okay there. Getting the bonuses and making those decisions was an extra layer that was kind of cool. And the Bomberman stuff was kind of cool as well. But otherwise, again, I still don't think it's a great substitute for you just being able to roam with your characters. But what can we do? What can I do?
I've got Zoomer brain rot, and I have a low tolerance for frustration, and the puzzles in the TVs feel very, 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 very unfun to me. But early game enjoyment is very low because there's a whole lot of TVs, there's a whole lot of yap, and there's not a whole lot of combat, which is the more interesting part of this game. If you like this story, maybe that makes it better for you. I don't know because I don't care about it, and I've been skipping it. I love that skip button. I do wish also, as a small
it's good there's an option,
skip button,
yeah.
that it actually skipped everything that you might want to skip. It doesn't skip any of the unvoiced dialogue. It doesn't skip any cutscenes, which is fine. I like watching the cutscenes. The pretty animations make my brain happy. But it doesn't skip anything else. It only skips voiced dialogue sections, which feels like ass and feels like a bit of a waste of a skip button concept, because why have a skip button if it skips like one thing?
To be fair, it's not always an option in WoW either. Like, I was doing a commission earlier that I'd done before, and I noticed, I can't skip this. It was just the one where in the city where you go to that dude that's painting and you go get his supplies from someone else, but you couldn't skip any of it. It's very short. You can just tap through, and I guess maybe they thought, no, not really necessary. Just an observation, though.
So like the more interesting thing, why would you be able to skip voice stuff and not unvoiced dialogue? That makes no sense at all, but
Yeah.
I'm glad it's there for some things, I guess. But yeah, early game enjoyment is difficult because it does a poor job of showing you what the game is like or showing you the interesting things. Later in the game, it gets more fun because you have a little bit of less TVs. However, my understanding is that the TVs are huge in the story, regardless of what part of the story you're on, which is
There's a
frustrating
lot,
because I hate them. This is the best version of the TVs in the game.
That's why, I'll tell you guys right now, this is why I haven't progressed as much in the story as usually I would with like a new game that comes out, because I want to do this. Like every time I'm presented with it, it's like, gotta do it again, gotta just get through it, and it's just a drag. It's honestly a drag. And it being such a cool mechanic again, that's why I'm not spending on the game. It's just not good content to me.
At this time, I still just don't like them. I think they could have done them in a better way, and I wish they had. The dailies feel pretty fine. I don't mind them at all. They're pretty fast. I like that there's a daily where you can choose 2 things to do, and I like that power of choice. The dailies are pretty fast so far. That being said, nobody has gotten to the end game grind set.
They feel
so
normal
we
to
don't
me, the
entirely
dailies,
know yet.
kind of.
The pacing feels meh.
That's a shame.
It does feel tedious, though. I hope that that does get better as you increase your world level, especially since I ran through Shiyu defense so quickly and I already need 2 teams. It doesn't feel very friendly that I already finished all of that and now I have to build 2 teams and I'm like kind of struggling to get enough resources to build one. But I guess maybe you just don't
it's
fully
gonna be
build
the
anything
case.
until later. It's just very anti-gacha, usual design to do that. I want to talk about developers. Hoyoverse, if you are familiar with them, obviously has a long history of not caring about their player base, being incredibly stingy with rewards, and ignoring player feedback very severely. It is up to you if that matters to you, or if you want to take into account the better job they did with Honkai Star Rail. If you care. Some people don't, and some people do. It's fine. The communication of Hoyo is always pretty poor. However, their advertising is very good, which is a huge benefit because I do feel like the drip game for Kuro has been a bit, we'll say, iffy. It took until last night to get drip for the next 2 characters for the next patch, which is not that far away realistically. And we've already had drip marketing for new characters in Zenless Zone Zero and also sneak peeks at a bunch of other playable characters in the future. The drip marketing is not very good. The communication with Hoyoverse is never going to be great. The stinginess of Hoyoverse is always going to be troublesome. Comparing that with
This we know.
Waves, it feels bad to compare the two, and it feels unfun as fuck, and I don't know what I just did to my game. Gameplay overall, the TVs are ass. I hate them. I think that they're more acceptable in this particular world, but I cannot stand doing TV puzzles. They are incredibly fucking miserable.
I say it once more, and I'm going to let this video go off more because I'm realizing I'm almost an hour in. We'll just be over an hour. It's fine. That's no problem, but I don't believe they couldn't have substituted the system for something better with their resources. They could have expanded environments and let you play as characters, have a jump button, have climbing features, so the environments are more open. Like again, I compare the 2 Stalker, which very different games, but Stalker is not open world. It has segmented levels which you explore, big areas, like wide open areas. They could have done it, they didn't, and they went with this instead. Some people are okay with this, I understand that. The only things I kind of liked were the Bomberman thing. I thought was cool. That makes sense with this kind of system. And the simulated universe stuff is okay, where you're making decisions about how your gameplay is going to be when you get in your next battle. Okay. Or what kind of buffs you're going to get and what kind of debuffs you might have to deal with. That's something. Gives it more purpose. But otherwise, I'm with her. Like, I just think it's bad content.
Don't like the TV puzzles. I find puzzles in general relatively tedious, and because of the number of loading screens in this game, especially between TVs, it feels
it's a drag.
Doopy, unfun. If you
it's
fuck
just a
up
drag.
The puzzle, it makes you go through another loading screen to reload the TVs, and it just really disincentivizes me from wanting to care. But overall, it just feels unfun, time wasty, sort of busy worksheet type gameplay, especially throughout a lot of the story quest stuff. And I wish they had done a better job with them, especially after all of the player feedback of the first 3 beta tests. So the amount of combat, especially early game versus fluff, is very bad. However, what does give me hope is the rally commissions and the endgame modes, because they are incredibly fun. If they just made the story like the rally commissions, I think people would be fine, but I think
haven't played them yet,
part of
actually.
the lore, so they might just not do that and might ignore player feedback on that, which I personally just expect from Hoyoverse because it's Hoyoverse. The arcade modes I don't care about because I don't really care about arcade games. A Snake game, regardless of if it's PvP or not, I couldn't care less. If you like that stuff, you like that stuff. I just personally don't care about it very much at all. The UI, aesthetically, gorgeous.
I like it.
Intuitively, a complete fucking nightmare that I cannot stand. I think they put a lot of effort into making it look really...
There's a lot of menus, a lot of buttons, a lot to like keep in mind that even is like slip in my mind, I'm being honest. Like I'm still newer to the game than she is. She's probably, it looks like she's played it quite a bit more than me. Like I said, I've been logging in the past few days just to spend my battery. I haven't really, like for the past 2 days, I haven't progressed in the story at all. So, where I am, if anyone wants to know, I'm at the last boss for the last escape machine for Bellabog. I've done the other 2, which are like bosses, and I've got 1 more, and I'm waiting. I need to progress in the story, and then they'll tell me, oh, we found the 3rd one, we need to go beat the shit out of it. So that's where I am. I'm not sure how far that is comparatively, or how much I got left. I need to meet the Victoria Housekeeping Company crew, which I'm looking forward to. And like I said, I'm looking forward to the interactions, like calling friends to hang out, like the Persona-esque stuff, like, well, that stuff. Very much Persona-esque, which I would really enjoy, so...
really pretty and no effort into actually
I got stuff to look forward to
or nice to utilize at all. It's incredibly unintuitive. I think the primary point of a UI in anything is to be as unintrusive as possible, and honestly, I think all of the evidence someone needs for the fact that this UI doesn't quite give what it's supposed to give is because of the fact that people are talking about it at all. If you have to talk about whether or not the UI is good, I think it's just kind of not. That's my personal opinion, but the UI is pretty, especially this menu. It's a pretty menu. I like seeing the pretty girl laying there being pretty and cute.
And the fact that you can change that when you get enough of the, whatever they call the friendship level. Obviously I don't yet, but I'm looking forward to that and seeing them and changing them and customizing it on that level. I think that's really nice. But I understand what she's saying, like a UI should be a quick and pretty gateway to get where you want to go as soon as you can. And there's just a lot of stuff here, like the more has a bunch more stuff too. I'm okay with it though. I think it's quite modern, it's quite colourful. I'm alright with it. Once you know what stuff is, it's not that bad. There's still a lot.
The number of menus that are within menus.
There's a lot.
I don't like having to remember and guess which things are in which menu. It's
which
frustrating.
I've kind of had
menu,
a little, yeah.
There are 4 other menus. So there's the Y button, which is your player menu. There's the events menu, which is X, and then there's the more menu for other stuff, miscellaneous essentially, and then there's also an options menu. There's a whole separate menu to teleport around, and then there's on top of that menus that you can't get into unless you go to a specific special place. And I just don't think that that's very intuitive or good UI design in my opinion. There are a couple menus in here that you can't get into. This is the menu for like main story mission stuff as well as some of the exploration and stuff. And then there's also the workbench menu, which you can't get to any other way, which is just showing you stuff that you saw, which is fine essentially, but why does this need to be its own thing? Why can't it just be one of the menus within the menu at very least? And then on top of that, there's also a tutorial menu that you can only get to from this place. I don't think that the UI is well done, in my opinion. It's nice that it's pretty and it's
there's a lot of menus, that's the thing. I understand. They're not condensed very...
Eventually we'll get used to it, sure, but I think they could have made it better. Made it more intuitive. Endgame, I don't think anyone's officially gotten to endgame at this point. I think that the potential for the endgame is actually very good if they let go of some of the TV gameplay and let us actually play the game. The rally commissions give me a lot of hope. So more of that, please. Less of the TVs and the fluff would be great. The potential of it is good for being a side game. The optimization of the game feels okay for me as somebody with a nicer PC that I'm using. I've heard that there are issues for people with lower end PCs or lower end mobile devices.
I'm on a decent PC, so I've not had any issues.
The size of the download is insane, given that this is an instance-based gacha game and not an open world gacha game. This is a 57 gigabyte download, even something like Elden Ring and its DLC, which is realistically more an
I hear that. That's crazy.
66 gigabytes.
That's insane.
Kind of not acceptable, especially if you're marketing this toward a more casual audience that will be playing on their phones.
That is crazy.
And don't have unlimited storage or don't have a lot of storage. I think you do also have to put this on an SSD and not an HD in terms of your hard drive if you're playing on PC. That kind of sucks. I don't think that's well optimized. The number of loading screens in this game is absolutely absurd. I don't understand why more people are not complaining about this. I barely heard anybody talk about it. There are so many loading...
I'm on an M2 SSD, which if she's got a high-end PC, she's probably on an M2 as well. And honestly, it doesn't... I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up with like old school games like this as well. I have no idea how old she is or what kind of experience she's got with older games and stuff, but this game very much rings like an old school PS2 game in the way it's like set up, like segmented levels. The loading hasn't bothered me so much. If it was long, it would, but on an M2, the one I've got, it's like pretty quick, honestly.
They're not very fast. Some of them are covered up by nice little animations that they do as a transition, but
the TV thing is one thing like that.
It doesn't feel good. It's really bad, especially in the TVs, as mentioned. The friendliness to devices, I've heard that people who have even slightly older devices cannot play this game, which is a little bit crappy. I think it's very interesting how little the optimization is being talked about, given some previous releases and how incredibly dramatized the optimization was for that game. But we'll talk about that maybe another time. Finally, what I'd like to talk about is a couple little miscellaneous nitpicks that I have, or miscellaneous sort of issues that I have that I just want to talk about, because we're
gonna wrap this up soon. Yeah, I've got a little bit left, but longest reaction video so far. But it's a half-hour long video. I gotta put my own thoughts out. So hope you guys like it. I'm looking forward to discussion below.
I hate that the MC is not playable. I think it is further proof of stinginess from Hoyoverse that they didn't give us a playable main character, because ultimately main characters end up being a free 5-star that you get.
She's Tank from the Matrix, and so is Wise. They're like the overseers. It's just how they are in the story. I do understand it, but at the same time, it's not quite like the Matrix. Like in the Matrix, they don't have the implants because they're like natural born. So the people that have the implants go in and, you know, get hooked up to the Matrix and go in. So it's not quite the same, because Belle and Wise are still part of that world. They can actually go to these places. So it could happen in the future, and it wouldn't surprise me actually if they took that direction and said, that could be a good move, actually, business-wise, to say, we got a new 5-star, it is Belle or Wise, whoever you went with. I'd be on board with that. I think that'd be pretty sick, and that'd be a good story direction to say they're getting more directly involved because of XYZ reasons. Maybe they're holding out on us with that. Who knows?
Yeah, the fact that they made them not a playable character feels like a way to not give us as much free things to use. It's also like, I guess part of it is to force this like immersion thing. I would much rather be able to walk around as the characters that I paid for, or that I...
Yeah, I've said this before. This is one of the things I said in my impressions video as like a con. I think that just stands out. Like, I want to use the character. Like, imagine you could run around as Ellen Joe. Would it be that immersion breaking, really? I mean, in Genshin, you're running around climbing up like mountains as Raiden Shogun and stuff. Would she even be doing that? She's a god that can fly and float in the air, you know, that kind of stuff. And yet she's huffing and puffing, trying to climb up this wall. Like, It's like, yeah, I know people want to talk about immersion, but then you've got that stuff going on. Doesn't really make any sense. Like, there's all sorts of characters like that don't seem like they'd be able to climb mountains that can, you know, if we're going that route about immersion or whatnot. I think it'd be fine in this game to let you just wander as the characters you've got, but
worked for if I was free
that's
to
not
play.
how it is.
I'd love to zoom around as the Shork and just be able to be Ellen all of the time. I think that would be great. I think the MC runs slow as shit. Like, this is her walk and this is her run. And
she waves her arms like crazy.
Like how much faster that is. I hate that the weapons barely change anything when you use them. I mentioned that too. W engines. Not that there was much of a choice because it was turn-based, but I wish that getting their signature weapon changed more about the character. A lot of it is more so just like their hair glows or some shit, and I think that's kind of lame in my opinion. I think
again, double-edged sword, because it makes me not want. It's no pressure on me to spend to get a W engine. I don't really care. The game's not hard enough to warrant like getting signature weapons, and signature weapons don't really change much at all worthwhile about the character's look. On that note, I did get a Von Lycon signature the other day. It's my first S-rank W engine, so I was happy about that. It's still cool to get a character, or knowing that when you get a character, I guess, you'll have their full potential, bar refinements and things like that, and cinemas. But other than that, like she's saying, unless you really care about just squeezing the most power out, which is kind of unnecessary, it doesn't do anything cosmetically. They already have their signature weapons in hand. Their whole look is complete. So that's something less for me to care about. So in that sense, it's a positive.
With the fetish designs of these characters, and I understand why. I sort of already went over that. And I don't like that they've level locked the story, because it makes the progression feel clunky and bad and shitty. Ultimately, what I want to talk about is who this game is actually for. why you would want to play this game and if you should try it, because I think this game is overhated for sure. I think that this is largely due to decisions that Hoyoverse made that they should not have made in terms of the marketing of this game, based off of some issues with the live stream. We have to remember,
pretending there's no
this
TVs
is
was
a
one
1.0.
thing.
There's not
Or
a ton of
little.
variety in Wuthering Waves either, ultimately, because it's still early in development. As there is a lack of variety in absolutely every other 1.0 live service gacha game known to man. That's just how it is, and complaining about that, I think, is a little meh. But my opinion about this game is that the vast majority of issues with why people feel so upset about it has to do with how Hoyoverse themselves chose to market the game. People wanted a combat-heavy experience, and that was not reflected in the early experience of playing the game, which is pretty poopy doopy and bad. I think it is a fair thing for people to not want to play 10 or 15 hours of a game.
I will say this. It doesn't, be honest, it doesn't bother me so much about early game, because early game is going to be like that in any game, really. Unless it is like a Souls game, where you're kind of thrown in and, you know, you got to learn quick. You got to get the ropes down quick in a Souls game, or like Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring, I really enjoy Elden Ring in a lot of ways. Like the early game was actually a lot of fun. Like I just remember those experiences early on when you get to what the hell's his name? Margit, I think it is. That boss kicked my ass, and I played all previous Souls games. I was like, damn, you know. But I got past him eventually. It took a bit of time on that boss, but it's not quite like that game. You know, most games have this kind of easing in, especially like a game like this, which again, Hoyo tried to cast in net wide. So I wasn't expecting to go in and be met with all that, but I'm just seeing the level of complexity isn't really there again. The level of depth, I don't think, is going to be there so much. So
to get to a part that feels more enjoyable to them. And I think it's fair if people want to play 2 hours and stop playing. As a consumer, it is not your responsibility to have patience for a corporation. If it's not giving what you want it to give in X amount of time, I don't think you should play it. I'm not a believer that you should stay for 15 seasons to get to the good part, because then it'll be worth it. I think that's always been a dumb mentality. If I don't think the anime is good within, I don't know, like max like 3 or 4 episodes, I'm probably not going to continue to watch it.
I think that's kind of fair, yeah.
And I think that is fair to say for consumers of a video game. However, given that I was someone that was pretty upset about the early game experience and I pushed through, I do think it is worth it for you if and only if
you like certain things.
You need a secondary gacha game. Most people play multiple because gacha games are not meant to be.
For me, ZZZ is my secondary right now. It's my only second. I haven't got a tertiary, a third, or anything. Wuthering Waves is my primary, where I'm actually financially invested into, and as a low spender. ZZZ is my secondary game, which I'm playing for the things I said earlier, like I want to see what's happened in the story more. Although the story isn't the strongest, it's okay, you know, but like the characters, the music is a vibe, and the gameplay at like just a kind of turn your brain off level for the most part, and just getting some quick satisfaction with like parrying and maybe dodge counters and just the general feel of the gameplay. I'm playing it for these reasons mostly, you know, and just the vibes of the game. And I am looking forward to things I haven't got to yet, to be fair. Like, again, the Hangouts. She mentioned those certain commission types, which she said are really good, actually. So I'm now looking forward to seeing what that's about. And yeah, just going for the story. In terms of, mainly with the story, it's just meeting the characters, learning about them, just knowing them, you know, seeing what they're like, and enjoying that.
Constantly, all the time, every single day, all day. Gacha games are meant to be something you log into, you get your little dopamine, and you log out, and when there's updates, you do more. But I think this is a fantastic game if you need a secondary gacha game. And specifically, if it's something that you are interested in playing. The reason that I like this game is because I like the vibes. The vibes are vibing. I think it is okay to play something based off of vibes or enjoy something based off of vibe. And this might be because I'm a big proponent of trash content, okay? And what I mean by that is something that doesn't require a lot from your brain. It's just something that you sit down and you enjoy without putting a lot.
She reminded me of like a fast food concept. She's like, I think she's considering it like a fast food type of game
of effort or time
in this sense.
That's it. And I think that this is great for that. If you're somebody who likes reality TV, this is really fun. In terms of the value this game gives you, I like to compare it to Cookie Run Kingdom, and I understand that people are going to be fucking annoyed by that.
I just haven't played it. I know she mentions it. I haven't played it.
Game. And as far as gacha brain rot games go, it's very good. I like it a lot. I think if you really want to put effort into something, definitely play PGR and not this. This is not that. If you want to vibe out, turn your brain off, and have fun, play this. You might want to play Nikkei instead. Nikkei is another gacha brain rot game. I think for gacha brain rot, this is great. This isn't a game that's gonna change your life like Asmongold. It's casual, it's
This game
fun,
changed
it's a
my
feel-good
life.
thing that doesn't require much of you, and I like it a lot. Among all gacha games that are out right now, I think I would personally rate this like a 5.5. If I rate it among gacha brain rot games, which I do think is definitely a different type of gacha game, I think it's an 8. It's just gonna depend on your personal preference, but I like brain rot. I'm a huge fan of brain rot content, and it's great. But the UI does suck. That's kind of it. I think people want me to take sides and be a Hoyo shill or a Kuro shill and say this is the best game ever or this is the most dogshit horrendous game ever. And the reality is I'm in the middle. I'm neutral. This is my one neutral. My side is myself. I'm a juice shill, I guess. That's kind of it. You let me know what you think about all of this. I am genuinely trying to be fair. I'm not trying to be like a hater or a lover or any of that. I just wanted to give my honest thoughts. Whatever you think is fine. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Come join us on Twitch if you ever have time. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Nice video once again. And like she was closing out with, I agree. I think she was presented herself in a very unbiased way, actually. A very fair way. Not aggressive against the game or anything. I agree with most of what she said, frankly. I mean, and for me, there's enough to justify continuing to play as a secondary gacha game, like where I'm not spending maybe as much time in it necessarily, just spending my battery, progressing a bit of the story, taking it kind of slow. I'm not really going head first into this game. The TVs are highly limiting my willingness, my desire to progress at maybe a rate I usually would in other games. That's just how it is. For me, what she was saying at the end too is like this game is kind of an equivalent to like fast food in gaming terms. I feel like it's not anything top tier, top end or really special, but I'm a fast food lover myself. I enjoy fast food. I enjoy treats, you know. I enjoy kind of junky food, honestly. Like, I try to keep my diet clean, but you know, I'll come in for stuff like that. And rating wise, I feel like on the basis of what we've talked about, for me it'd be about like probably a 6.5, generously a 7. But honestly, my heart and mind is kind of going with around 6.5, around that area. And yeah, I think that would be it, honestly. The TV stuff really holds it back considerably for me. It's a drag. You know, whenever I'm playing a game, I want to be having fun, and that stuff just isn't fun to me. Whenever I get to it, I'm like, oh, all right, let's just get it done. Let's get through the fights at least, or get to the fights. That's how it is, and this video's been going long enough, guys, an hour and 15 minutes, but, you know, if you did watch, or however much you watch, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. One more thing, so just reminded me, HIA Club music, if anyone's watched this long or earlier, please help me find this. I don't know why it's, like, nowhere to be found right now, like, no one's extracted any of it, or even just stood dormantly in the HIA Club to download the song that way without any scrubbing. Even that I would accept right now if we can't get a clean rip. Okay, so yeah, that'll be it for now. Let me know what you guys think below, and I shall catch you later.